Hello, everyone. You're live with OK Students. It's Friday, and I'm back with Martin in different circumstances. Martin, you're back in Estonia.
Hey everyone, how are you? Yes, back in a nice and sunny Estonia. Just came back home for a little bit to get some different environment and see the family as well.
And well, this could be a whole video in itself talking about your travel from the UK to Estonia, but we'll save that one because there was some bigger news this week. There was an announcement about Brexit, about how student finance for European students would be affected from 2021. So I think we probably need to talk about that as a priority.
Definitely, and I think it literally happened whether when I was traveling or the day before, but like at some point the phone was buzzing, like LinkedIn was literally popping up with all of the news, obviously all of the major more normal news outlets. I think for the industry it's relatively it doesn't come as a surprise, but I reckon it's a big news.
Yeah, it is. It's very big news. We kind of knew it was coming, but still, when it dropped, it was big news.
So what happened?
Well, okay, so if everybody remembers the referendum in 2016, the British people decided that they wanted to leave the European Union. And for the last 4 years, we've been discussing about how that might happen, what it might look like. There's been changes of government and so on, Prime Minister. And so it's been a long time coming. And obviously we transition in 2021 into new rules. We don't know what all of those are, but around immigration, we know that there will be an end to kind of the free movement of Europeans to Britain. And while there's been calls for this not to include students, it's been clarified that European students won't be given any special precedence compared to any other nationality. So at the moment, European students have been treated the same as British students, the same fee status, so the same level of fees for tuition, and also the access to a UK government-backed loan from the student loans company to cover their tuition fees. And now it's important to remember that this is still in place for 2020. So students coming this year, it really is kind of now or never, the last call, as we've got in the banner here, the last call for students who want to access this finance.
So the last kind of class of like financed Europeans, And I think it's really important to note that it doesn't mean that the funding will last for 1 more year, but the students who will enroll now will get the funding throughout the whole 3 and I guess 4 years if they do placement year, right?
Absolutely. The whole duration of the course is guaranteed. So we're seeing a lot of applications, a lot of interest, even despite COVID, because people who are eligible, who are finishing high school or have the qualifications already, can access fully funded education in the UK this year, this September. It's also going to apply to January, but it's a bit murkier because there's not, you have to apply for settled status in 2020, so that you'd have to start actually earlier. And also part of the new immigration rules state that you have to show the ability to fund your living costs and your maintenance costs in the UK. And so this hasn't been a factor for Europeans in the past, where it has been for students who require a visa. So you can access funding for January courses, but you might have to show that you can fund your living costs in the UK. So having an amount in the bank. It needs clarification, but it's not as straightforward as this September or October, which is the same as it's always been.
So as much as it is a perfect time for like some students enrolling this year, it actually is like a bummer for others.
Well, yes, sadly, it really is.
Looks like.
it's such, for me, it's just such sad news, because I've worked with so many brilliant schools across Europe, many students choosing the UK and doing very, very well, adding to the economy, adding to our knowledge base, our research base, adding to our just all the industries. And so it's just a huge, sad thing that's a result of Brexit, and a massive shift for some countries where, you know, many of those students have been preparing their whole lives to really study in the UK under this scheme. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there is always two sides to that. So we kind of, or you touched a little bit the student side, and we discussed what we didn't discuss yet, what options they have, but always the other side, and the one that we probably are like a bit more aware of as well, because we are in the industry and follow the news and see is the universities, like how will universities react, how will universities adapt, because I mean it's a kind of game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, there's you can break this into two parts: financial loss of the tuition fees, but really a cultural loss, the quality that comes from diversity and from, you know, our closest neighbours culturally. You know, we are Europeans, and having Europeans in the classroom has been an amazing kind of benefit to universities. So I think it's 148,000 students in 2018 were from the EU studying in British universities. So a huge gap.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot.
That's crazy.
A lot. That varies kind of wildly across different institutions. Obviously, the Scottish institutions, a lot of Europeans, because actually the tuition was free there. And some universities that were heavily kind of teaching universities. So the kind of modern universities, a lot of European students in those cohorts, because they really loved the idea of the British system offering kind of vocational training, skills-based training alongside accredited knowledge, which most countries in Europe are still based on a kind of a theoretical curriculum, whereas the universities in the UK are heavily based on skills and vocation now. So yeah, some universities of that demographic, a lot of Europeans. And then, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a big gap. Now, there's still about 30% of students didn't take the student finance.
Mm-hmm.
There are many students across Europe who go to private schools or international schools where they are used to paying fees, and they will still be considering the UK alongside the US and Canada and Australia. But yeah, it's basically 2/3 of those students were relying on this funding that's now been confirmed it won't exist for 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that you said before that it's not only financial like problem for UK or even the students, but like, yeah, I mean, I think the other kind of cultural side is maybe even a bigger problem for the UK, because like UK is just gonna lose out on so many bright minds that like before came in, like put in effort on like research, they learned, they made the kind of place more diverse, and yeah, brought in probably more than took.
Yeah, absolutely. So the universities are looking for solutions here. They are actively looking for ways around this to keep a diversity, to kind of keep their appeal to Europeans. And we're going to wait to kind of hear some of these ideas. The early ones are this idea of giving big scholarships to make sure the fees are back down in line with UK students. There is an ethical issue with this, as well as a kind of legal issue, that you're discounting some nationalities, but you're happy for others to pay more. So there is a lot of kind of ethical issues with that.
Yeah, it's kind of like manipulating a bit.
Yeah, manipulating the cost base of courses. But definitely that we're going to see that big scholarships for certain European market students to kind of bring these fees back in line. And Universities UK, the kind of public sector body that lobbies the government on behalf of the universities, they've put proposals forward for the UK government to come up with an alternative kind of loan scheme for all international students or select international students from trusted countries to really help with us being more competitive in a global market, and to kind of have a way of attracting that top talent from all over the world. So there are lots of talent-based scholarships, global scholarships, to attract the best. And I'm sure we'll still do those types of scholarships.
Because if now the kind of student finance, the way we've known it for the past, I don't actually even know how many years, is ending. Something ending will always create space for something new. So do you reckon, you kind of mentioned the scholarship scheme already, but do you think there is like any other innovative ways how to kind of maybe replace the student finance?
So people will have known about Erasmus, and a scheme that encourages mobility. This idea that studying abroad is important for your development, for your education, and important, for societies to learn and grow from, for each generation to have that experience of seeing other countries. So Erasmus is yet again some question marks about the UK's relationship with it. But the idea there, and with other things, is that you build a reciprocal agreement with either another institution or another country where you get to come and study in the UK under the same domestic fees or under a certain arrangement. So this T&E, transnational education, we're going to see this grow, I think, where UK universities partner with strategic universities in Europe to keep a flow of students coming, where they do some of their course in Europe and some of it in the UK. It happens with countries like China. We have some students who study in China and then come to the UK to complete. Because this is going to be a big growth area to get around this.
So Erasmus students generally are like kind of sponsored, or the fees are scholarships, aren't they?
Yes, Erasmus is different because it's encouraging mobility. So the members kind of pay a fee, and then students participating, not only do they get they pay their domestic fees and they swap with other students, but also some receive funding to actually go to certain countries and to experience it. So there is an incentivization to help people to take up the opportunity to study abroad.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, do you reckon Erasmus options will like go massively up now? Like, do you think international students start like considering just studying at their like home universities and then just taking like half a year to a year abroad?
Yes. So even with COVID, this is a solution where I think many students will want to start off in their home country, or have the opportunity to stay in their home country if there's a COVID outbreak, and then the ability to spend some of that course onshore in the UK, so that they get the study abroad experience that so many people value. Yeah. So it's not necessarily just an Erasmus scheme thing. It's a kind of T&E thing where universities will actively look for strategic partners in Europe to do it like this. The other option is that universities actually open branch campuses in mainland Europe. So you'll see a UK university, but opening in a European country, and lots of those exist already. So that's another option. And I think there will be some discounting and scholarships and select funding schemes, maybe even private funding schemes. So if there's still an appetite to come to the UK, maybe another finance group or banking group will come in and offer a loan scheme to allow students to do that, to replace the British one.
Okay, no, that's it's really, I think there's like so many options, or like so many ways this can actually go.
yeah, there's lots of possibility, but we're still very, very sad about the end of something that really benefited everybody. Okay, uh, the current scheme was UK taxpayer money being used as loans for Europeans, but also those same students brought so much to the economy, and the very best of them stayed, working in the UK and repaying those loans and so on, like you, Martin. So, you know, on balance, it's been an amazing opportunity for everybody, and I don't think there are any winners here at all.
Yeah. Okay. So, what will it mean for students? So obviously, like now, as we've said like 3 times already, is the last call, and like students who want to get the funding have or should enroll for this year. I think there still are many amazing options to get in with like clearing, right?
Yes. So we're still open. Universities are still open for applications. Here at OK Student, we're still advising students and helping with those applications. And we're moving into a period, as you say, called clearing, which for the undergraduate applications is a time that basically the vacancies within universities come up and we can help place them. And that extends through July and into August as well, because the UK exam results come out in August. So there's plenty of kind of spaces and manoeuvring in this summer period. So, to be clear, if you're European and you want to study in the UK, now is the time to apply. It really is the last couple of months to try and make that happen. So please get in touch and we can help you. What that means is you can access funding for the tuition fees. You can access a loan that covers your tuition fees and that you repay back later when you're earning money. And it's the same terms as what the British students get. And it's very, very favourable. So amazing opportunity. So if you've kind of been a bit, worrying about it, not sure for various reasons, we would say this kind of focuses your mind to say this is an amazing opportunity that you should take. If you can. The same goes for EU nationals who are working in the UK. Many people working in service sector jobs who have qualifications and aspirations to kind of study again. Like now is the time for you to access that funding and get back into studying. This applies for undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, and even some foundations. So pre-university degrees, some universities can bolt in the finance to the degree and create a foundation and degree combination. So now is the time. Last call, absolutely. Last orders at the bar. Until we find out more. But people have been hoping for solutions for a really long time, and I think we need to face the reality that this opportunity will end in 2021. So if you're in a position to take it in 2020, please do so, because I don't think you will regret that decision.
Yeah, and I mean you've been on top of the news for quite a while now. Like I get most of my higher education news from your LinkedIn, I think. So a little shout out for Nick, that everyone who's really interested in getting the news first thing in the morning, then definitely connect or follow Nick on LinkedIn. Nicholas Cuthbert, name then.
That's quite worrying. Now I think I realised that there was a big gap between the leaders in higher education, people in universities. It's a fairly closed group, decision makers, and actually people working in the industry and students wanting just real information and real insight. That's all we're doing, is sharing news, giving our opinion, and trying to be helpful to teachers, to students. And if that helps people, that's great. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. We're just trying to spread the news so people make informed decisions.
Yeah, and I love that you're not afraid for speaking out when things are the way they are as well, and you don't really like just keep it like just as you said, like really closed and happy vibes, but you kind of speak the truth.
Yeah, I think there's no other way. That there shouldn't be anything hidden here. There's pros and cons to everything. You know, all of these, the education industry works in a certain way, so it's important for people to understand that, so that they can understand the decisions they're making. I've been kind of privileged to work on the inside of universities and see it, and I've always found that being honest and helping people understand that just helps everybody. You know, that everybody's benefiting from that.
Yeah, I mean, always good to have a refreshing voice in the industry.
An unlikely voice.
Yeah. I mean, the student finance topic, I mean, it's a relatively tough one, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of like nuances, and there's details and legislations and so on. So I think we've covered like most of what we know so far.
Yeah, I think in context, you have to remember that students from outside of Europe, you know, the UK has been a massively popular destination. They've been privately funding their education in the UK and also paying up to a third more, you know. So those students have always felt a little bit disgruntled that European students have been treated favourably because of the UK's membership of the European Union. So whilst many people are upset about European fees for European students changing, or the terms for European students changing, actually it's only being brought into line with other overseas nationalities, which in some ways is very, very fair. Obviously, the downside of that is that it means that the cost is increased, and it makes it more selective on people who can afford it rather than their academic ability. And that's something I think everybody in this sector is always sad about, that education, you know, shouldn't be just for the wealthy. It should be for, you know, everybody really, but, you know, really for definitely the best academic students. So I do think we will see very good, strong scholarships for talented students, academically strong students from across the continent. I think that will definitely come into play quite quickly. My dog agrees. Or not.
Cool. Awesome. Should we slowly wrap it up?
Yeah, I think so. We'll just put it into context. We're OK Student. We're an advisory group for students studying in the UK or wishing to study in the UK. We work in partnership with universities, so we're their trusted kind of representatives. And something unique about what we do is that we actually employ and empower current students who are here in the UK to share their advice, to share their experience, but actually take you through that process, so they're benefiting as well from the experience.
Yeah, definitely. We have plenty of fun stuff going on all the time. We have a challenge called Worldwide 100 Challenge, where we are trying to get 100 different nationalities under our lovely community roof. Virtual so far, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a party in I don't know, winter time or October. November time. Yeah. We, as you said, we do empower students to get experience, to work. We have a wonderful blog on Medium, which is over here. So if you want to be a guest writer, if you want to tell your amazing story about your experience studying in the UK, or I don't know, your work experience after graduating from the university, do let us know. You can message us basically everywhere. We are OK Student on, I think, most of our socials. So yeah, guest writers, and if you can make video, if you can write, or if you can make any form of art, definitely get in touch with us as well. We are looking for people who can make.
Absolutely, share their experience and help others. And yeah, opportunities for students. So please get in touch, or just check out the channels if you're looking for trusted advice. And we're happy to help. So we do these things live each week. If people message in, we're happy to answer. But the same thing applies. Just message us anytime. We can look at your individual case and and help you.
Awesome. I wish everyone. Friday is Friday. A wonderful weekend, and enjoy. If you're in the UK, enjoy the sun. I think as long as you can, because it's probably going to be rainy again from, what is it, Monday?
Why are you looking at UK weather now? You're not. You're in Estonia. You don't. It doesn't concern you at the moment.
Oh, that's true. We're on internet, so people actually can be anywhere across the world.
Me anyway. If you want to, we can talk about the weather. The weather's been amazing. 3 scorching days in the UK. It's just breaking now. It's quite hot, but there's going to be thunderstorms. That's it. I think summertime will be done, but it's been beautiful. And you just left.
I mean, it's like 20. What did you say? I think it was more than 30 degrees over there, wasn't it?
Yesterday was so hot. Yeah.
I mean, it's been like 26, 27 over here. It's just.
You're becoming more anglicized all the time. You're talking about the weather now, Martin.
Oh yeah, I mean, 4 years like leaves its mark, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So awesome, right. But cool. Have a good Friday, everyone, and see you in almost a week.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.